Once there was a man who lived in a small apartment overlooking a restless city. Every evening, after the world had quieted and the lights outside blurred into distant stars, he would sit by his window and wonder how it was possible to feel. So invisible, so forgotten in a world so full of people. He had friends once. He had dreams once. But somewhere along the way, life became busy, complicated, and hurried. Conversations grew shallow. Relationships frayed and faded. Achievements stacked up neatly on paper, but inside an emptiness grew, vast and echoing. He wasn't angry. He wasn't bitter. He was simply ... alone. If you are reading this, maybe you know that feeling too. Maybe you know this silent ache that doesn't scream but wears you down quietly day after day. That this is not a story about defeat. This is a story about healing. About coming home, not to a place, but to yourself. Chapter 1, naming the ache. Loneliness, when left unnamed, feels like shame. It whispers that you are unwanted, unworthy, broken. But when you dare to name it, this is loneliness. This is Aish. A human feeling, not a personal failing. You reclaim your power. Loneliness is not your enemy. It is a messenger. It tells you that your soul is craving connection, meaning, belonging. It is calling you back toward yourself and toward others. First act of healing is simple yet revolutionary. Speak it. Say it out loud. I feel lonely. There is no shame in it. Only truth. Chapter 2. The mirror of solitude. Before you can find others, you must first find yourself. True healing begins in solitude, not the painful, hollow kind, but the sacred kind. The kind where you sit with your own soul and listen. What brings you joy? What quiets your mind? What dreams did you bury under the rubble of survival? Spend time doing things that remind you of your aliveness. Write bad poetry. Cook messy meals. Walk without a destination. Create, explore, breathe. You are not your loneliness. You are not your emptiness. You are a universe of stories, songs, and dreams waiting to be rediscovered. Chapter 3. The art of vulnerability. The man by the window had built walls around his heart so high and thick that no one could climb them. He thought they kept him safe, but they only kept him isolated. Healing from loneliness means dismantling those walls. Brick by brick. Start small. Share a genuine feeling with someone. Tell a friend, I'm having a hard day. Admit, I miss having deeper conversations. Ask for a hug. Listen without judgment when others open up. Vulnerability feels terrifying because it risks rejection, but it is also the doorway to real connection. It is saying, here I am, will you meet me here? Not everyone will. Some will turn away, but others, the right ones, will step closer. Chapter 4. Building the bridges. Healing. Loneliness is not about gathering crowds. It's about building bridges, real, sturdy, honest ones. Seek out places where you can be seen and known. Join communities not to impress but to belong. Volunteer. Take a class. Attend small gatherings where authenticity is valued over appearances. Friendship does not fall from the sky. It grows from small, consistent acts of showing up. A text, coffee date, a shared laugh, a sincere, how are you really? Be patient, be persistent. Trust that your efforts matter even when the results are slow. Chapter 5. Loving in the small things. The man by the window once believed that healing would come from grand moments, a best friend who got him instantly, a life-changing encounter, a dramatic turning point. But healing came in smaller ways. It came in a neighbor's smile. It came in laughing at a stranger's joke in the market. It came in the barista remembering his name. Love hides in small, ordinary moments. Don't overlook them. Don't underestimate them. Each small moment of connection is a stitch repairing the fabric of your belonging. Chapter 6. When the past holds you back, sometimes loneliness is rooted in old wounds. Maybe you were betrayed, abandoned, mocked for being sensitive, for needing too much, for hoping too deeply. Those old wounds whisper, you are better off alone. But you are not. If your past is heavy, seek help. Therapists, counselors, spiritual guides, they are bridge builders too. They can help you lay down the burdens that keep you isolated. You deserve to heal. You deserve to trust again. Healing is not forgetting. Healing is remembering without letting the past steal your future. Chapter 7. Embracing the long road. Healing from loneliness is not linear. Some days you will feel radiant with connection. Other days, you will feel hollow again. That's okay. Healing is a spiral, not a straight line. Celebrate the small victories. The conversation that felt easy. The event you dared to attend. The text you sent even when you were scared. And when the ache returns, be gentle with yourself. You are not failing. You are simply human. Trust the process. Trust yourself. Chapter 8. Finding your people. There are people out there whose souls will recognize yours. People who will celebrate your weirdness, your depth, your softness. People who will not flinch when you show them your real heart. Finding them takes time, but they are real. They are waiting too, searching the crowd. For someone like you, don't settle for relationships that leave you lonelier than solitude. Hold out for the real thing. It is worth the wait. Chapter 9. Becoming the light. One day, you will realize that the very loneliness that once crushed you has made you more compassionate, more tender, more alive. You will find yourself sitting with someone else's pain, saying, I know this place. I have been there too. You will become the person you once needed. A lighthouse for others, still lost in the fog. Your loneliness was never meaningless. It was shaping you into someone the world desperately needs. Chapter 10. Coming home. The man by the window eventually stopped waiting for someone to knock at his door. He became the one who smiled first. The one who asked, how are you, really? The one who dared to be real. And slowly, beautifully, his world changed. It wasn't loud. It wasn't dramatic. It was a slow, steady gathering of connection, belonging, and love. And one evening, as he sat by the window again, he realized he wasn't alone anymore, not because the city had changed, but because he had. He had come home to himself, to his people, to his life, and so will you. Loneliness is a universal human experience, yet when it comes to men, it often wears a mask. Society has long taught men to be tough, independent, and emotionally restrained. Phrases like, man up, boys don't cry, and be strong have shaped generations, creating a culture where vulnerability is seen as weakness rather than strength. As a result, many men silently endure feelings of isolation, struggling internally while projecting an image of strength to the outside world. The cost of this silence is devastating, not just to the individual man, but to society as a whole. At first glance, it may seem as though men are doing just fine. They gather in groups, they work together, they share laughs. But beneath the surface, many of these connections are thin, lacking the emotional depth that true friendship requires. It's possible and frighteningly common for a man to be surrounded by people and still feel completely alone. Unlike women, who are often encouraged to build emotionally supportive relationships from a young age, men are frequently steered toward relationships based on shared activities rather than emotional intimacy. Watching sports, playing video games, working out, these are all valuable forms of bonding, but they rarely invite deep conversations about fears, doubts, dreams, or personal pain. In this environment, emotional distance becomes normalized. Vulnerability feels foreign, even dangerous. And without realizing it, many men grow accustomed to loneliness as if it were an inevitable part of life. This emotional isolation often starts in adolescence. Boys who may once have been open and expressive begin to learn that certain feelings are unacceptable. They may stop confiding in friends, afraid of being mocked or rejected. As they transition into adulthood, these patterns become harder to break. Career pressures, financial responsibilities, romantic relationships, and family expectations consume time and energy, leaving little room for nurturing close-knit friendships. Over time, emotional walls are built so high and so thick that even when loneliness becomes unbearable, reaching out feels impossible. The impact of male loneliness is profound. Chronic loneliness doesn't just cause emotional pain, it has serious physical consequences. Numerous studies have linked long-term loneliness to increased risks of heart disease, stroke, high blood pressure, and weakened immune function. Loneliness also accelerates mental decline in older adults and increases the risk of developing depression and anxiety. Perhaps most tragically, loneliness contributes to higher rates of suicide among men. In many parts of the world, men die by suicide at rates 2 to 4 times higher than women. Behind these statistics are countless silent battles lost, countless cries for help that were never voiced. Technology, ironically designed to connect us, often makes the situation worse. Social media platforms are filled with curated images of success, happiness, and belonging. Scrolling through endless highlight reels of other people's lives can deepen feelings of inadequacy and isolation. For men who already struggle to express their emotions, these platforms rarely offer real connection, only the illusion of it. The rise of remote work, online dating, and digital entertainment has further reduced opportunities for meaningful face-to-face interaction. Despite the growing awareness around mental health, a deep stigma persists around men seeking help. Cultural messages about masculinity still glorify stoicism, self-reliance, and emotional suppression. Many men internalize the belief that admitting to loneliness or depression makes them weak or less of a man. As a result, they suffer in silence, convinced that their struggles are unique or shameful. Therapy, support groups, or even opening up to a friend can feel like terrifying acts of vulnerability, but the narrative is beginning to change. Slowly, conversations about men's mental health are becoming more common. Public figures, athletes, actors, and musicians have started speaking openly about their battles with loneliness, depression, and anxiety, challenging outdated notions of masculinity. These brave voices are helping to normalize vulnerability and show that strength is not about pretending everything is okay. It's about having the courage to face what is not. Healing male loneliness requires both personal bravery and societal change. On a personal level, it starts with small steps, reaching out to a friend, expressing feelings honestly, seeking professional support when needed. It requires men to redefine what it means to be strong, not as the ability to endure alone, but as the willingness to connect, to empathize, and to share. True strength lies in authenticity, not in emotional numbness. Friendships must be cultivated intentionally. Deep, meaningful relationships don't happen by accident. They require effort, vulnerability, and time. For men, this might mean going beyond the surface level, asking deeper questions, listening without judgment, offering emotional support, and allowing themselves to be supported in return. It's about creating spaces where real conversations can happen, where fears, hopes, and struggles can be shared without shame. Communities, too, must play their part. Schools, workplaces, religious organizations, and community centers can all help dismantle harmful stereotypes about masculinity. Education about emotional intelligence, active listening, and mental health awareness should be prioritized from a young age. Media representations must evolve, showing men not just as stoic heroes or comic relief, but as fully human beings capable of a wide range of emotions. We also need to rethink success. In a society that often measures a man's worth by his achievements, wealth, or physical strength, there must be room to honor emotional depth, kindness, compassion, and vulnerability. Men should be celebrated not just for what they do, but for who they are, for the courage it takes to live authentically and connect deeply. It's important to recognize that loneliness is not a personal failure. It's not a sign that something is wrong with a man's character or value. Rather, it is a natural human response to unmet emotional needs that every human being shares. Acknowledging this truth can remove much of the shame that surrounds loneliness and open the door to healing. There are countless stories of men who have found their way out of loneliness, men who, by taking small risks, rebuilt their emotional worlds. A phone call to an old friend, joining a local club, volunteering, attending a men's group, these simple acts can be the first steps toward reconnection. Healing often starts not with grand gestures, but with tiny, courageous moves toward openness. It's also essential to recognize that the journey out of loneliness is not linear. There will be setbacks, moments of fear, and feelings of vulnerability. But each step toward connection builds resilience, hope, and strength. With time, what once felt impossible can become natural. Asking for support, sharing feelings, offering empathy, and building bonds that nourish the soul. The loneliness epidemic among men is a silent crisis, but doesn't have to remain silent. Through honest conversations, compassionate listening, and cultural change, we can create a world where men no longer feel they must face their battles alone. We can build a society where emotional connection is not a privilege, but a right, a fundamental part of what it means to be human. Men are not meant to be islands. They are meant to be part of vibrant, supportive communities where they can share their burdens and their joys alike. The road to ending male loneliness is paved with courage, compassion, and a collective willingness to rewrite the story of masculinity itself. In the end, every man deserves to be seen. Every man deserves to be heard. Every man deserves to be Loved not despite his vulnerability, but because of it. It's time to tear down the walls. It's time to reach out. It's time to remind every man, you are not alone. Loneliness is a quiet ache, an invisible weight pressing down on the heart. It's a feeling that can creep in even when you are surrounded by people, when you are smiling in photographs, when you are achieving everything you thought would bring you joy. It is one of the most profoundly human experiences and one of the most painful, yet loneliness is not a life sentence. Healing is possible. Building connection, belonging, and emotional intimacy is possible. It is a journey that requires patience, courage, and compassion, especially toward yourself. Healing from loneliness is not about quickly filling the silence with noise or the emptiness with random company. It is about creating meaningful, lasting bonds both with others and with yourself. Step 1. Understanding your loneliness. The first step toward healing is to truly understand your loneliness. What exactly are you missing? Is it companionship? Emotional intimacy? A sense of purpose? Sometimes loneliness is about the absence of people. Other times it's about the absence of deep, meaningful connection even when people are physically present. Take time to sit with your feelings without judgment. Write them down if you can. Where do you feel the loneliness most intensely? In your chest, your stomach, your throat? What thoughts accompany it? What memories stir it up? By becoming curious about your loneliness rather than ashamed of it, you start to reclaim your power over it. Remember, loneliness does not mean there is something wrong with you. It is a signal like hunger or thirst telling you that a basic human need is unmet. Step 2. Reconnecting with yourself. Before you can truly connect with others, you must reconnect with yourself. Often loneliness is worsened by a loss of self-trust, a feeling that we are not enough as we are. We may seek external validation, hoping that being liked or accepted by others will heal the emptiness inside. But true healing begins within. Spend time doing things that bring you joy, not because they impress anyone else, but because they nourish your spirit. Paint, write, hike, dance, cook, build, explore. Find moments where you are fully present with yourself. Build a life that feels good on the inside even if no one else sees it. Practice self-compassion. Notice your inner critic, the voice that says, you're too much, or you're not enough, or no one would understand you, and gently challenge it. Would you speak that way to a dear friend? Offer yourself the same kindness and patience you would offer to someone you love. When you learn to enjoy your own company, you stop feeling desperate for connection. You begin to seek relationships not out of fear or emptiness, but from a place of abundance. Step 3. Practicing vulnerability. Loneliness often convinces us to hide our true selves, fearing rejection or misunderstanding. But connection requires vulnerability. It requires being seen fully and perfectly, authentically. Start by practicing small acts of vulnerability. Share a genuine compliment with a stranger. Tell a friend about something you're struggling with. Express gratitude. Ask someone for help with a small task. These simple moments of openness build emotional muscle. They teach you that it's okay to be human, that it's okay to have needs, fears, and hopes. True connection happens when you allow others to see not just your strengths, but your uncertainties too. It's in those moments of realness that bonds deepen. Of course, vulnerability carries risks. Not every person will respond with the care you hope for. Some may dismiss or misunderstand you. But resilience grows when you realize that rejection is not a reflection of your worth. It is simply a mismatch, and there are others out there who will meet you with kindness. Step 4. Building meaningful relationships. Healing from loneliness involves building relationships that nourish you, not drain you. Quality matters more than quantity. A few deep, honest connections are far more healing than dozens of shallow ones. Seek out people who share your values, interests, and passions. Join communities that align with who you are or who you are becoming. This could be a local club, a volunteer group, an online community, a fitness class, a book club, or a support group. Choose spaces that encourage authenticity and kindness. When building new relationships, patience is key. Deep trust takes time. Allow connections to unfold naturally. Show up consistently. Listen as much as you share. Be interested, not just interesting. Small, repeated acts of kindness, reliability, and openness are the seeds of strong relationships. Remember that relationships are reciprocal. Give without keeping score, but also notice when you are always the one giving. Healthy relationships are built on mutual respect, care, and effort. Step 5. Healing through service. One of the most powerful ways to heal loneliness is through service. When you extend yourself toward others, you shift the focus from your own pain to the shared human experience. You realize you are not alone in your struggles. Volunteering, mentoring, supporting a friend in need. These acts not only bring comfort to others but also reinforce your own sense of purpose and belonging. Service reminds you that your life matters, that your presence makes a difference. Helping others doesn't require grand gestures. Small acts, checking in on a neighbor, offering a kind word, helping someone carry their groceries can ripple out in ways you can't imagine. Step 6. Seeking professional support. Sometimes loneliness is deeply rooted in past wounds, childhood, neglect, betrayal, abandonment, trauma. If you find that loneliness feels overwhelming or persistent despite your efforts, reaching out to a therapist or counselor can be transformative. Therapy provides a safe, non-judgmental space to explore your emotions, heal old wounds, and develop healthier ways of connecting. It can help you identify